Black history isn't just what's happening back then. It's what's happening right now.
And on this episode of How the Fuck Is This a Podcast, we're sharing one Black history fact we just learned this year because trust us, they left a lot out.
Then we're getting into some real talk. Our experiences being Black in America, the highs, the what the fuck moments, and everything in between.
No sugarcoating, no holding back.
Just raw, unfiltered conversation. So pull up, tune in, and let's get into it.
So the other day I was scrolling through Instagram. Actually, I wonder, you know how like sometimes you're like scrolling through Instagram and it shows either, I don't know if you shared it or I just saw that you saw it. Something like they do this new reel thing and you could, something, I don't know. But I saw that you saw it. And it talks about like how Martin Luther King didn't die by the assassination.
Yeah.
It was something else. Did you see that?
Yeah, I seen that, and when I first saw that, I was like, "What?" Like, I was really intrigued into it because it just took me back to
Yeah.
like being in grade school,
Yeah.
and just every year we hear about MLK, and we talk
Right.
about the assassination that happened, and in the video it was saying how, was it his lawyer at the time?
I think it was.
Yeah, so it was saying how his lawyer,
Yeah.
when he got shot. He got rushed to the hospital.
Right.
When he was in the hospital, they were working on him. Everything was good.
Yeah.
Then they said 3 men came into the hospital and said, to the nurses and everybody that was working on him, like, y'all need to stop working on this nigga.
Yeah.
And y'all get out.
Right.
And then from there, everybody left the room.
Right.
And the lawyer said that, I seen somebody start suffocating him.
The nurse said she heard like a, and she turned to look.
Yeah.
She saw them spitting on him, and that's when she saw.
Right, yep.
Yeah.
They started spitting first. And I'm like, that has been left out. But I also wonder, too, because, Trump is saying now that he's going to release all the information regarding these cases. If, in the public, we're going to be able to find out really what's going on. And they have made so many MLK documentaries. And
I know. Never mentioned this.
Never mentioned it in any documentary. So I could see more and more like movies or just different documentaries coming out about it.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing to me. What was your initial thoughts when you saw it?
First of all, the whole hog spitting on somebody thing.
Yeah.
Is like, all of it. I think it's just, I was shocked. Because just like you, we see the movies, all of these things, and we've read stories, and then it's just like, when do we ever really know?
Right.
Like, when do we ever really know? It's 2025. I mean, when I saw it, I think it was 2025. I just saw it. So it's just like, when do we ever know? And I don't know. It just makes you continue to question just what's put out there for us.
Yeah, what's put out there, what's shared with us. The history, Black history is just so deep.
Yeah.
It's so many things that we just don't know. Like the first paramedics were in Philly, and it was a group of Black men. And that was like in the 60s.
Yeah.
And when I think of the 60s, I'm like, my mom was born in 66. The 60s was not that far ago.
No.
Far away. And I just seen that post not too long ago. It was saying, the first Black male, not even the first Black male, the first paramedics, period, in the United States.
Were there in Philadelphia.
Were in Philadelphia, and they were all Black men.
Yeah.
And they said before that, the police were the ones who would come, and they would kind of just throw them in the police cars and bring them to the hospital. And I just thought that was interesting. And I never heard the fact. Like, and I'm like, why isn't that something that's shared? Why isn't that something that's highlighted?
Because we have to dig and dig and dig and dig.
Yeah.
First of all, what I should have started the conversation by saying is Happy Black History Month.
Right.
I should have started that way. Happy Black History Month. It's so I've been kind of, for lack of a better word, obsessed with the DEI executive order and the changes. And so as we're talking about Black History Month, and, some federal agencies has decided to not acknowledge or celebrate within the agency Black History Month. Like, imagine for a moment, you work for a federal agency. You've been working there for 10 years or whatever, and you used to their annual Black History celebration or whatever. Maybe they send
Right.
these emails out. Then you get to work and they tell you they're not celebrating you and your history. What do you think you would feel like with that?
I mean, honestly, I don't know how I would feel. I don't even really know how I would feel. I know one of my friends is actually experiencing this now. He's over at the company that he works at. He's over like the DEI initiative, basically. And right before February, they canceled all programming that they had. And, you know, his colleagues were reaching out like, hey, what does this mean? Like, what's going on? We planned for this event. We spent X amount in the budget.
Yeah.
And these are things we can't get back. And these companies aren't really telling people anything. They're just like, oh, we canceling it to further notice.
Yeah.
And I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What do you mean?
I mean, I know we're focusing on Black history right now, or Black History Month right now, but also the fact that like any air quotes special interest groups in the federal government have been canceled. All those celebrations are done, you know? And I just think a lot about DEI. And so before getting into my work here in Richmond, I did DEI consulting. So that was part of my consulting work. And I'm not shocked that it has been getting this type of traction and also this pushback, because oftentimes part of my role would be like HR representatives would come to the consultant agency and say, not all the time, but majority of the time, HR will come and say, hey, we need to we want to do more with our DEI and diversity.
Yeah.
But we have to get some buy-in because the C-suite, they don't believe in it or whatever it is.
Right.
So it was always a struggle for like people to want to bring in DEI to their workplace. How often did you work in corporate before? Or
never worked in corporate?
Oh,
no,
good
I
for
always
you.
worked for private agencies.
Were they all Black?
Pretty much, yeah. Before I got into mental health, so I've been in mental health for 11 years now, since 2014. A little bit 2013. But prior to that, I was working like retail, the movie theaters, working on campus in college.
Yeah.
So I never experienced working for corporate. But I and all the mental health agencies I work for are Black. They're Black agencies. So I never experienced work. I've experienced racism.
Sure, of course.
I've never experienced it within the workplace though, and
Because
segregation within the workplace
Okay.
because I'm with my community.
Dang.
You know, so we don't have to code switch, even though it's a code switch. Still, like within the Black community, we do have to code switch in a way, but it's different when you work for predominantly white companies. The code switching. So like, of course, we're not at work talking slang, etc., but we do understand some type of lingo. Like we have that lingo that we just get, that we don't need to explain, versus when you're in, a more diverse workspace, certain lingo you can't say and certain things you can't do.
This is wild. Like, I'm just fascinated by this right now. I'm like, you like black, right?
I'm Black as hell.
Yeah, you like Black for real, right? Like you worked with majority of Black owners, which is amazing. You went to a HBCU. You are in a fraternity. Like, you all the way Black. Like, no, I'm thinking, I'm like, hold on. Like, you grew up Black too.
I
like,
grew up Black.
Yeah.
Well, no. So when I grew up, I actually grew up very diverse.
Yeah.
I always hung out with Black people though. So my school, I grew up in Amityville, Long Island. By my house, it was a lot of Hispanic and African American individuals.
Yeah.
But the school that I went to, it was very diverse. So, we had Caucasians, we had the Indians, we had Muslims, we had African Americans. So everybody was diverse, but it also was still segregated in a way. So like, I just remember like being in school and like high school, and the cafeteria was segregated. Like the Spanish people was
Over
all
there.
on one corner. Then you had all the Black people popping Black people, seniors over here, popping juniors over here. Like it was segregated by class. It was segregated by race. It was segregated by who was most popular and who could jump in these little sections. And then you had the middle, like, oh, y'all just whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it was like that, but that's just how it was.
Well, I think people kind of gravitate. I'm sorry, you was gonna say something.
No.
I just think that people kind of gravitate towards their people, and that's why it's no shock. I mean, just thinking back about DEI, right? I was so curious about this that I already assumed that majority of business owners, corporations are owned by white people.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, you know, when you own a business, you're a Black entrepreneur. What's your majority of people working there? What race are they? Black, right. So like that's just how it goes, right?
That's just how it goes. They gravitate
because you get the most times you get people closest in your proximity, right? And if you grew up around Black people, you went to all these schools or whatever you've done, right? Not whatever you've done is diminishing, but what you've done. When you do these things, you gravitate towards people that look like you. That's the same thing that happens in corporate America, right? And so it's interesting because I didn't grow up like that. I grew up around white people. Majority of where I grew up, Austin, New York. Shout out to New York. Austin, New York is predominantly white at the time. I remember going to school like, dang, why my hair don't be like long and flowy, you know? Mm-hmm. And all the things that came up with growing up there. And so, you know, as we are thinking about what's going on in our world right now and how they are getting rid of these programs because they feel like, you know, Black people are being elevated because of their skin color and not because of what they earned and their merit. It's just been a lot of conversation around it.
That Black people are being elevated because of their skin color?
That's why they're getting rid of DEI. That's the thought. Like not just Black people, but diverse,
groups, ethnic groups. And I disagree. I mean, because we still, not just Black people, but you know, the Indians and Hispanics, we still have a hard time. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that when we do have people in higher positions, they may will look out for us, you know, or at least put us in a position where we could sell ourselves. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, like, nobody has ever given me anything, but they may have put me in a position where I can sell myself so that I can get what I need, you know? And that's really networking. Mm-hmm. And that's the purpose of networking. Now, some people do just get handed over stuff. I mean, it could be generational wealth. It could be like you just really knowing the right person. But I feel like the percentage, I mean, I don't know, I don't have the statistics, but I just feel like the percentage is not that high of, you know, ethnic groups being able to elevate just because, you know.
It's very low. I mean, and when we think about some people who have been our bosses, and you know how that experience went, but I'll digress there because I still do work for certain people. But you know, the majority, what I thought was interesting is that the majority, the group that benefits the most from DEI is white women. Mm. And so it's like, even with all these changes, the populations that were supposed to, not even supposed to, but the intent of people having access still hasn't really happened.
Right.
And now they're just taking it away.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing that you don't have to experience that being your own boss.
Well, I don't feel like I'm exempt. Mm-hmm. You know, I seek grant opportunities. So now they done snatched grant opportunities from, you know, certain groups. You know, some grants out there are strictly for Black entrepreneurs or Black female entrepreneurs. But now, if they take away DEI and they're taking away grant funding and, you know, giving these people these resources to be able to give us the resources, then they still pulling from me. Mm-hmm. They just going through different avenues. Mm-hmm. You know, but I may not be feeling it directly, and it may not be in my face, but behind the scenes, it's still going on. Mm-hmm. So it's still potentially can block doors.
Yeah.
For me.
But then, like, just thinking about the fact that, and you're absolutely right? Like the federal government, they have that control over that funding, and um, and it can make it more challenging for us as Black people to get funding. But I'm also now curious, like, what do you love about being a Black man?
Oh, that's it. I mean, honestly, I love everything about being Black. I love the food about being Black. I love how me and my family interact and act. I love how witty we are. I love, just our style of communication. Like, we have so many different styles of communication. We could be in a room with somebody, and even within our own culture, and people just won't understand what we're talking about because we just that locked in.
Yeah.
The history, of course, what we've been through, where we came from, how we have grown, how we continue to grow, the opportunities that we continue to make for ourselves, being able to break down barriers. Like, I love a good challenge. I know damn well if I was a slave, they probably would have killed me quick because I would have been challenging everything. I definitely would have been running away. Hopefully I would have got away. but yeah, I mean, everything about being Black is great to me. I understand that there are challenges that we have just because our skin color, and we don't even have to do anything wrong or negative to people. We may experience those, but at the end of the day, even if I wasn't Black, I'll still have challenges. So I'm not getting away from obstacles.
Yeah.
So I just need to be able to face whatever obstacles come my way and just deal with it. And that's just my mindset. I understand that may not be everybody's mindset with things. But for you, like being a Black woman, what would you say was one of the hardest things that you may have experienced because you're a Black woman?
How I speak. Especially like in corporate, I would say, being viewed as aggressive or confrontational if I'm advocating. I feel like oftentimes Black women, even the Black women that I know, we are the ones that will say something, right? And people will send you a message on the low. Oh, I'm so glad you said that. But then now I'm looked at as the problem, right? Because I'm advocating. Also, I think like growing up, it used to be just like appearance, right? Like, I mean, the type of hair, the skin complexion. I never really struggled with skin complexion. I'm not like nobody's ever really said anything to me about my skin complexion or my hair or really anything, but it's more of the stories that I told myself around being around so many young white girls when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like I didn't get into the hood until I was in like high school, right? So I grew up a certain way, but I love being a Black woman. Yeah. And I used to I love the fact that I can change my hair any type of way I want to change my hair to. I love the fact that I love us. I love the wittiness, like you said, and the humor. Man, I love the strength of my friends and the genius that they have. I love how Black women contribute to the world and contribute to Black men in our families. And I'm always just so in awe of Black women. I know we're tired. I can't even say for everybody. I know many of the friends that I have are just tired. But I mean, I love Black women. I love Black men too. I just think that we are just incredible people.
Yeah.
Incredible people.
I agree. I want to go back real quick though, when we was talking about the workspace and working for Black companies. I have experienced Black owners treating Black employees different than the white employees.
And I have negative way or like
in a negative way.
Oh, I can understand.
And I have a problem with that.
You should.
I just find it like baffling, mind blowing that you really have the nerve to like treat us different because because their skin color when you're our skin color. And I mean, just to be honest, you're the superior at this moment. So why do you feel like you need to diminish yourself and bring yourself down, treat us worse, and then treat this person better. That doesn't make sense to me, but it also reminds me of just the mindset that some people may be stuck in, or the experiences that they may have experienced. I remember when I was younger, and so we used to go to North Carolina to go to my great grandparents' house all the time, and their house was probably about like 40 minutes away from the Walmart. In North Carolina, everything in the country, like everything far. So I had to be maybe like somewhere between 7 and 9 years old. But I remember we were in Walmart. It was me, my mom, and my great grandmother, and like a white woman did something. I don't know exactly what she did, but my mom, very vocal black woman, she said something like, watch out, excuse me, whatever. And my grandmother kind of was just like, wait, don't say that. Like, you can't say that. Now, my grandmother was born in, I don't even know what year she was born in, but she experienced everything. She wasn't born into a poor family. Her family had money, but her and my grandfather ran away. They went to New York. My great grandmother, she lived to about 103, 104. So she passed away maybe, it's probably like 3 years ago, like 4 years ago, somewhere. But even then, during that time, we in the 90s. My great grandmother is from this era of slavery, segregation, etc. And my mom from the 60s, which she still experienced, racism and segregation. But just the mindset, my grandmother's mindset never shifted. Like, she always viewed that, white people were superior and black people couldn't do certain things. So when we would do certain things, she would kind of be on edge, like, wait.
Was that still happening though in that I know it's in the 90s, but was it a small town? Because sometimes small towns, they still have that, like, that division. Was that still happening when that happened at Walmart, or no? Your grandmother just was like...
So I can't really speak to it, to be honest. I just know when we went down there, I mean, we was just on a long block, not that many houses. The people that lived on the block was related to us.
Yeah.
And, we just used to be kids just running in the backyard, watching our grandfather shoot deers. So we didn't, they kept us away from that. We were oblivious to it. But yeah, I'm sure they still was doing it in the South. I mean, they still do it now.
Yeah.
We live in Virginia. You go to West Virginia, Lynchburg, all of that,
Y'all, I could have a whole conversation about Richmond, Virginia, y'all, because it is totally different than Arlington, Virginia. And I know it's not even, it's like, it's so different. Like, but I also think that oftentimes when I interact with people, sometimes I'm like, and they're rude to me for absolutely no reason. I'm like, is this because I'm black? Is this because I'm a woman? Like, that's what kind of comes in my mind often.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like that? Like, if somebody's rude to you, do you ever be like, are they racist, or is it just
like somebody of another race?
Yeah.
Oh.
But like,
I say something to them. Like, if I'm in a grocery store and somebody do something, I'm like, oh, you could say excuse me.
Yeah.
Because now I'm gonna be black.
Yeah.
Like, because you're not gonna filter me.
Yeah.
On the plane, I hate when the plane stop and people just jump up, right? And you are now over my back. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's always a white person.
Wait, did you see that clip where that girl was cursing them out? There was a clip recently. This girl was going off on these people. She was going off. She was going off on them being on her back. So that's y'all probably related.
We probably cousins somewhere through the line. But yeah, I'm like, listen, I feel like sometimes they don't understand barriers. Like, I've hung out, I don't have that many white friends, but I've been in spaces with white people and I've hung out with some white people. And just sometimes things that they say, they don't understand, like, how it can be negatively impacted within a conversation into the person that they speaking to. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's just like, I feel like I can't relate to them. Mm-hmm. That's why I don't have that many white peers, because we just don't relate on much. And I do have white friends that I relate to, and I don't think that everybody is like that. But, I just stick to what feels good to me.
Mm-hmm.
What feels good.
So do you have like, is there something that you do to celebrate Black History Month that you're going to do or you want to do?
There's things that I have done in the past. Like this year, I don't know. I didn't plan anything. I feel like I'm Black every day though. So I love Black History Month. Like, yeah, I post random facts. Like when I see random facts that I don't know about, I make sure I share information. I think it's important that we always share information.
Yeah.
So whether that's just me throwing it on my story or commenting, sometimes I start walking around that counter in my kitchen and I start talking about something. I participate in like the celebration, dress up. So like with church all month, we doing different like heritage and dressing up to support the movement. And just, I think just remaining Black, feeling Black, talking Black, supporting Black businesses. Like, those are the type of things I do. Like, okay, I'm going to go get this Black T-shirt today. Yeah. I'm purposely going to eat at this Black restaurant this week. Yeah. Yeah. Or if I go to Walmart, I want to buy this Black item. That's how I would say I celebrate, like, Black history. Just being more intentional about being Black. Yeah. 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 What about you?
I've never really done anything to celebrate Black history besides like join a meeting, but I do want to. There is this thing called the Great Unlearn that's happening on Instagram, and I do intend on joining. It's like a book club where you can read different books and just relearn history from what we were taught, and that is something I do plan on doing. Yeah, like I think I've never really. Like this year, Black History Month just feels different, and probably because at one point it felt like it was going to be I was like, what are they about to do? Like, is it going to be taken away? And it sometimes you take things for granted when it's just annual things and not realizing, and because you're living it every day, or you like, I don't wait till Black History to learn Black history, right? I don't wait till the month to learn it. So, once it felt like it was being taken, it was just like, oh, wait. It just felt sacred now to me than it did before.
See, and I didn't look at it like that. Like, I didn't look at it as, oh, Black History Month is about to be taken away from me, because I felt like I never celebrated. Yeah, one, it can't be taken away. Two, I'm not celebrating with none of y'all on no DEI committee anyway. I celebrate Black history with my friends.
I guess it's like reducing I feel like it was like reducing the importance. It just was like
I feel like it made a bigger impact on the importance of it though. Like, okay, y'all think y'all gonna take this away from us and make us feel some type of way? No, all y'all doing is really giving us strength to come together stronger and be like, oh, okay, let us show you why we don't need you. We never needed you to tell us what we can do. Yeah, we never needed you to make us feel good. Yeah. So I'm gonna be Black on my own, and with the people that I'm gonna be Black with, and we gonna be good. Yeah. Y'all stressed out over DEI. Yeah. I'm not stressed out over it. Yeah. Because I'm gonna go outside and be diverse. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go outside and include who I want, and the equity gonna go up. Yeah. So I don't need your policy. Yeah. And that's how I feel about it. Yeah. Yeah.
Despite rising societal stressors, it's possible to take care of your well-being. Levels Mental Health provides compassionate care for those experiencing mental health challenges. Our holistic approach addresses anxiety, depression, behavior issues, and trauma, ensuring individuals feel understood. It's time for accessible mental health services for all. Visit levelsmentalhealth.com to learn more, schedule a consultation, or donate to expand outreach and support our community.
Do you have anything that you want to say to the people, like as we wrapping up?
They granted us this month to, celebrate, to learn history, to go to shows, play, see the kids, reenact and reperform what we already know. But I want y'all to know that we don't have to wait for this month, and we're going to do Black History Month next month. We're going to do it the month after. We're going to do it the month again. And we're just going to continue being Black throughout this year and all the years to come. You know, it doesn't, regulations does not make me a black person. You know, my mother and my father made me a black person, right? They taught me the lessons that I needed to learn. So I'm going to continue to teach anybody that I come in contact with the lessons that I know, you know, to be proud of who they are, to love the skin that they're in, you know? So happy Black History Month, y'all. Y'all see me with my little.
Oh, and
what about you? What you got to say to the people?
Black people, I love y'all. I don't really have anything else to add. Actually, I do. There's this quote that I heard that I like to say often. I don't know who it came from, but it goes like this. If you feel like you are too much or too little, the question is that you don't think that you are enough, and you are, and we are.
Yes.
And so happy Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month.
Learn a new fact, share it with a friend, as Doc G said. And, you know, it is just being Black.
Yes. Thank you for tuning in.
Catch y'all in the next episode.
Later.